consumer karaoke machines were at like their pinnacle.
Right.
It was like maybe like 10 plus years ago. And I was trying to think of a gift for my grandparents, and I was like, my dad's parents, and I was like, they were young at heart. They loved to sing and dance. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to buy them this karaoke machine. It has the built-in television with the words and all this other jazz. And you had to buy the CD, the special karaoke CDs that would have the words and stuff.
Right.
And I went to Radio Shack and I bought I had to think of popular songs at the time. And so they had a Latin Invasion karaoke CD. So I bought it, and then I don't know if it was like, I think my grandparents were like, why did you?
Sure.
In my head, I was like, oh, you know, it's
because your parents were pretty elderly at that point.
My grandparents.
Right?
Like in their 70s.
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but they were young and at heart and everything.
Sure.
I don't know what I did, to tell you the truth. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyway,
you were trying.
I had other CDs, but I don't think the Latin Invasion one flew with them. Like my grandpa was not going to be singing Ricky Martin, I guess. So it was like
She Bangs.
Yeah, exactly. That was it. She Bangs. That was it. It was She Bangs. It was Jennifer Lopez. It was Mark Anthony. It was all those. It was Enrique Iglesias.
Sure.
Like it was all that. Right. So anyway, I went and returned. I opened it.
Okay.
So I went back to the Radio Shack. I had the receipt, and I said to a guy was there, and this guy was like too cool for school. He was like 45 years old, but young at heart. But he was wearing the standard issue Radio Shack red vest. Sure. But everything underneath was like he was a metal cat.
Okay.
But he was like a Spanish guy with short curly hair. So
it takes all types.
Yeah. He had on those rings, like snake rings.
Right. A skull, like a dragon's mouth.
Like a sorcerer.
Right.
Yeah. And he had, so the guy's a metal guy.
Okay.
And
sorry.
I went up to him and I said, I'd like to return this. And I put it down on the counter with a receipt. And he's like, he immediately looks down, looks back at me, he shoots me like a look. He's like, sorry, I can't do it. And I'm like, I have the receipt. And he's like, yeah, I can. I'm like, yeah, but it's I bought it like 3 days ago. He's like, I cannot do it. It's open media, sir. So I was like, oh, well, then in my head, I was like, okay, well then let me just tell him it doesn't work.
Right.
And I'm like, well, it doesn't work. And he's like, that doesn't work? And I'm like, no. Like he's immediately like aggressive with me. And I'm like, no, it doesn't work. Like I came in here, I asked for help. I told someone that I bought a karaoke machine and I need something that'll be compatible with it. And they gave me this thing. I brought it home. I put it in. It doesn't work in that machine. So he's like, that works. And I go, how do you know? And he goes, cause it does. And I go, but you don't know what machine I have. He's like, it works. I was like, I don't understand what the issue is though. Like, why can't I return it?
Right.
He's like, you can't. I go, well, then let me exchange it. And he goes, you can't exchange it. It's open. I go, I don't understand what he's saying. He goes, we don't allow open media because someone could take this home, copy it and bring it back. And I go, are you calling me a thief? And he goes, I didn't say that. I said, but you're not returning it because you're saying you think that I got this thing and I brought it home and he's like, no, I didn't say that, but I can't take it back. I was like, so if I'm telling you it doesn't work, don't you have to replace it? Just give me another one.
Right.
Like just replace it with another one of the exact same thing. Cause now I had to
sure, you gotta play it out to the end.
So I'm like, yeah, just give me another one. Like, just give me another one. It doesn't work. And he's like, I'm not going to do it. And I go, your employee gave me this. And I start getting loud. Right. And I haven't told the story in a long time, but I start getting loud because like part of me was like getting into it with him.
Right.
Cause he was being a dick. Part of me was like, well, what if it really didn't work? And that I was arguing just out of principle at that point. And part of me thought it was funny. Right. So like I started like mixing it up with the guy a little bit, and I'm like, I want to speak to one of your managers. He's like, fine, you want to speak to one of my managers? No problem. And he goes in the back and he has two large swinging doors. He pushes them, he swings through them.
Right.
And I'm waiting there about 10 minutes. He comes back out. He's like, my manager's on the phone with Texas. That's what he said to me.
Texas.
He goes, he can't come. Manager's unavailable. I go, what do you mean the manager's unavailable? I want to speak to the manager. He goes, he cannot come to the phone right now, sir. To the front right now, sir. I said, why not? He's like, because he's on the phone. I was like, so I'll wait till he gets off. He's like, he's not getting off. I'm like, why? He's like, because he's on the phone with Texas. I was like, your manager's on the phone? Now I'm like, your manager's on the phone with the state of Texas?
Right.
And he's like, yeah, he's on the phone with the state of Texas. He's doing the state. This is an employee of Radio Shack, right? And I'm like, well, this doesn't work. And I'm not, and he goes, that work. He goes, this doesn't work? This doesn't work. I go, no. He grabs it. He walks from behind the counter, walks up to the aisle of karaoke machines, pops it, puts it in. And now, mind you, it's Christmas time.
Sure.
There's like 25 people in the store. And like people had already been watching from the first scuffle of me and him. So now people watch him go over there. People turn around and they're waiting to see what happens, right? He throws the fucking thing in there, hits the button, and he, like a dick, turns it all the way up and hits play. And all of a sudden it's like, literally She Bangs just comes on like at full blast. And everyone, like, I see people online like, oh, this is going to be good. Is it going to work? Is it not? And he turns and just She Bangs just starts blaring. And I think it was, cause his voice was his voice. I think like the CD you could play it with or without.
Sure.
And cause he was singing it and he's like, She Bangs, She Bangs. And I see people online like cracking up and everything. I felt so embarrassed. So he takes it back out, closes it, hands it to me, and then walks back and like disregards me. So I go up to the thing, I put the thing down and I'm like, so what are you, so now I'm like, cause now I had to like, so I didn't know what to do. And now everyone was like, looking at it and they see it's a Latin Invasion CD. So I go, so what are you saying? What are you saying? That I took the CD was $9.99. Okay. So now I'm realizing how absurd it is for me to be. So I want to turn that absurdity on him.
Sure.
So I go, so you're saying that I made a trip to the mall 3 days ago. I bought a Latin Invasion CD that your person recommended. I went home. I copied it and burnt the Latin Invasion karaoke CD onto a blank CDR disc, packaged it back up, got the receipt, got in my car, wasted all this time and gas to come back here to scam Radio Shack out of $9.99 for a Latin Invasion CD. Is that what you're saying? And I'm like appealing to people. I'm like, come on. I'm like looking back and I'm like, is this what this guy is saying? Right? And I put it down, I push it. I'm like, you got to take it back. And he stops it with his hand and he pushes it back. So we're like pushing it on the table and I went back and forth twice. I was like, you got to take it. He's like, I don't have to take it. I go, you have to take it. And he goes, you know what? I go, if you're not taking it, I can't talk to your manager. What do I do as a consumer? And then I'm looking around, I'm looking at everyone, I'm going, what are we supposed to do as consumers? Am I right? Don't buy the Latin Invasion CD here. Right? So then he goes, you know what? Go home and call 1-800 The Shack and tell them blah, 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 blah.
The Shack.
This is before they rebranded.
Right.
Then I think they named it The Shack for a while.
They tried
and
to
then they went back,
The Shack,
right? But it was before they rebranded, but just the number was The Shack.
Right.
And then I looked him dead in the face because now he was heated. And because we were pushing it back and forth, it's like starting to get like a little physical.
So now you starting to get the upper hand now because you're, or were you just as heated?
It was really a toss up.
Okay.
If you were there, you might have been like, oh, this guy's funny. He's like, or you might have been like, this guy's losing it.
Okay. Right.
Like, cause I'm like, really? I'm like appealing to everyone.
Sure.
You either thought it was funny or you thought you were seeing me unwind.
Okay.
Or both. It was really a little bit of both. And I look at him and I go, and I look at, again, now everyone's just silent. No one's working. Like everyone's looking at, and I go, did you just tell me to go home and call 1-800 The Shack and wait for an operator to talk to me about the Latin Invasion karaoke CD? I think it's $9.99. What scam? And now I'm going up. I'm like, what scam do you think I have going? Do you think I went home and made 100 copies and I'm selling exclusively a Latin Invasion karaoke CD to people trying to rip you guys off? This is insane. And he literally said this. I swear to God. He goes, good day, sir. Right? And I don't think he was saying it.
Not Willy Wonka.
No.
He meant good day, sir.
He meant good day, sir. But I was wrong. Cause I go, what? And he goes, I said good day.
Oh, really?
And like, after he said that,
right,
there was nothing for me to say and nowhere for me to go. So I looked at everyone in the Radio Shack and I just slowly reached my hand. And I swiped the CD and the receipt in the bag back up, like in my hands. Everyone was looking at me and I just turned and like slinked out. I like had to walk past everyone. And people like snickering and I'm just like, the nerve of this guy.
So he won.
Yeah, he won. I think I still have it.
Really?
I still have it.
That's great.
I still have that CD. I gotta find it. It's in there.
That's awesome. The Latin Invasion.
The Latin Invasion. Ricky Martin.
Wow. There we go.